Good morning. This is Cayetano Carvajo. I'm leading core transport and service platform in Telefonica Corporate Technical Unit, what we call Global CTIO. I have been in this event in previous occasions for talking about transport, about our automation and SDN. But now I'm here with you to share what is Telefonica strategy for the core evolution. Well, core evolution, sorry, it's not working now. Core evolution for us is determined for the evolution toward 5G standalone. And 5G standalone is a complete revolution in the core. Everything's changed. We will have a new architecture. For sure, we have to deal with many new services. We will offer into our customer many new services. And for providing these services, we need a new architecture, as you all know. And this will be a radical change in architecture. 5G standalone is based in microservices and will be completely containerized. So cloud native approach, and then a complete new infrastructure, what will mean that we will have faster innovation and more automated operation. Also, 5G standalone will mean that we will have many more capabilities for exposing the network capabilities. So our exposure of the network will be better than before. It is even standardized. We have a node, the network exposure function for doing this in a standardized way. And I think this is another opportunity for the operator for making the exposure of the network successful. We have not been so successful in the past. Let's see if this time this is successful. Also, with 5G standalone, there will be distribution of the data plane, distribution of the core function, and distribution, of course, of the application. We will be bringing the core and the application nearer to the customer. We will have edge implementation, and we'll have many core nodes closer to the customer. And on top of that, we'll have the capability of providing a specific quality of service and a specific parameterization to a customer or group of customer. I'm referring to slicing. That, from my point of view, is a big opportunity for segmentation of the market and maybe an easier monetization. And if all this would not be enough, from Telefonica, we have decided to have only one core. We don't want to have one core standalone and the rest of the core. So we are migrating all technology, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G non-standalone to the new core that we're implementing for the 5G standalone. That means that from the beginning, this core will be managing a lot of traffic. I mean, all the traffic of the network. And this is a challenging situation if the core is not mature enough. But in the long term, it's a good approach because you will have only one core, easier to operate, but also all the improvement in automation of the operation will be brought not only to the 5G standalone, but to all the technologies. As I said, there will be a new architecture. For sure, we'll have the complete separation of control plane and agent plane. In the long term, we'll have the true fixed and mobile convergence. I mean, the standardization allows us to go to this convergence. I don't know if from the market will have the need, or from the topology, this will be the best approach to have the convergent core. But at least from technical point of view, we'll have this possibility. We will have much more automation. I mentioned this already, especially for testing the software and for deploying the software. With this, we will have a much more flexible and faster software lifecycle management. We will change the releases in a faster way, and we will be implementing new services in a faster way. We'll have the core distributed, not only the edge, as I mentioned before, but also with private network, and we will be bringing the core to the premises of our B2B customer. Another characteristic will be that we will onboard the software of the network function in a variety of infrastructure. So maybe we'll be using the public cloud, maybe we're using vertical virtualization or a transversal approach for the containerization. And also, it is relevant that we will be offering new ways of communication. From our point of view, the 5G will mean a revolution in many things, but also in the communication. We will have not only voice messaging and video, but maybe we'll have new ways of communication. We are seeing XR, VR, all the metaverse movement, and I think 5G will fuel that, and operator will have another opportunity of providing new communication services. But there are a lot of challenges for bringing to these new architecture and all these possibilities we have with 5G. The first of these challenges is the maturity of the technology. When we see the solution in the industry, they are not as mature as we would like. But before blaming the industry and before blaming vendors, let's start in blaming operators. At least in the case of Telefonica, we are not completely ready for extracting maximum value of the cloud native core. For sure, we will be implementing the 5G standalone, but there will be a while still for extracting maximum value of all the capabilities that the completely cloud native core will bring. We'll have gap in skills, we'll have gap in our tools, we'll have gap in the processes we have, and we have to change all these and adapting them for extracting maximum value of all these possibilities. Also, as I said, the proposal from the vendor are not as mature as expected, especially in our case that we are moving all the traffic to the new core. We expect the core to be reliable and mature, and it is not always the case. We are especially worried for scalability in the user plane. Signaling nodes availability from product point of view is limited. Remember that the release 16 has been frozen in July last year, and then the signaling that has been standardized mainly in this release. Well, the products are coming, but they are limited functionality and they will be growing for a time. So this could impact if we have to massify 5G very, very soon. There are many other things like auxiliary element, like probing or any other tools that has to be deployed in a more efficient way that we are deploying now. If we think in the network, it is not mature. Imagine the use cases that will be implemented on top of the network. These use cases are not mature. For instance, we are testing now slicing, and we see that all the slicing, when you test slicing end to end and in a multi-vendor approach, well, the availability of many functionalities and the maturity of all the interfaces is limited. Due to this, in Telefonica, what we have decided is to have a phased approach for implementing a standalone. I will explain later what I mean by phased approach, but it is mainly adding functionality and massifying the core when the availability of the functionality and the maturity of the core is being reached. From vendor ecosystem, in our opinion, the vendor ecosystem will be much bigger in the future. I think there are many companies developing software for the core, but the ones that are coming first with solution are the vendor that has been commonly used for 4G. But for taking advantage of the whole ecosystem, from Telefonica, we are building a completely open core in which it is very relevant that all the nodes will be modular and interoperable. And we are making open any interface that we believe that we allow us to increase the multi-vendor approach in our core. I said that we will be implementing the 5G standalone in a progressive way. What do I mean by this? Well, we are starting implementing 5G standalone with the basic functionality with 3 nodes per platform, what is not enough for a complete country, with the signaling with basic approaches, so option A or option B, depending on the country. The next, well, and the voice will be implemented by EPS fallback. The next phase will be evolving voice for voice over new radio, implementing signaling more advanced scenarios like option D, and implementing the containers over bare metal. The first implementation will be containers over virtual machines, unfortunately, but we will be moving soon to containers over bare metal. In the next evolution, we will have the exposure capabilities for the network, extracting maximum value of net and starting implementing slicing. Then we'll have a much higher distribution of the core. In this case, it is very likely that we will move for multiple options for UPF form factor. There will be very different needs of UPF in different environment, and the possibility of having multiple form factor for UPF are clear. We will be reviewing this. In fact, we are already checking what are the possibilities for this. And in the long term, we will have the fixed mobile convergence. I don't know if this will be true, if this will be convenient from business and topology of the network point of view, but there's a possibility that for sure we will explore. And all this evolution will be done for sure, increasing in a dramatic way the traffic and increasing significantly the number of lines that we will be managing. One characteristic of our 5G core will be a high resilient design. What we are implementing, or we will be implementing, is a similar approach to the one we have for 4G. And this is having 3 regional clusters with all the functionality, allowing us to have redundancy of the whole cluster in case of any problem. And in this cluster, we'll have inside each cluster as well the resiliency. This is the approach we have implemented in 4G, has increased in a significant way the availability of our network, and we are replicating this with 5G. From point of view of infrastructure, it is clear that we have to change the infrastructure. The 5G core will be clearly containerized, and Kubernetes will be used. The problem that we have is that the horizontal framework that we have been working with are evolving to containers, but they are not ready yet. The compatibility of the network function and the container frameworks are not completely done. So we have started the implementation with a vertical virtualization approach. That is, that each of the network function vendor is implementing the infrastructure they need for this function. But this is a temporal solution. We are pushing for evolving to a completely horizontal framework in which we will have all the network function on top of the same infrastructure. We are already working on that, and we will be implementing some of the network function already in this horizontal approach. One possibility that we're analyzing is public cloud. We have been testing public cloud with 5G network function. And from this test, what we see is that technically this solution is not convenient yet, but this is evolving very fast. We see some technical performance issues to be improved, but I think this will be improved soon. So from technical point of view, I'm sure that the public cloud will be used for network function of 5G in the future. But there are some other things to be analyzed. For instance, regulatory. There are requests from regulator in case of using public cloud. The confidential computing is one of them, but there are some others. There are economical questions to be determined. We have to do the business case in case public cloud is more convenient from an economical point of view or not. And we have strategic issues. We have a limited number of vendors for public cloud, and some of the vendors can become our competitor or are becoming, in fact, competitors of operator in some cases. And there's another factor to be analyzed in case of public cloud. That is, what do we want to have on-premises implementation of the node of the public cloud hyperscaler, or are we using the regional data center of the hyperscaler? At least for the data plane, it's clear that we will need on-prem implementation. For signal and control, it's doubtful, and we have to decide. We are facing many problems in the container infrastructure implementation and compatibility with network function. One of them is the compatibility of the CAS lifecycle with the CNF lifecycle. So some CNF request specific releases of the CAS, and they are not the same as other CNF. So the compatibility, I mean, having the two CNF on top of the same CAS, it is difficult today. I'm sure this will be improved in future, but this is an issue now. Also, the need of certifying each of the CNF on top of each of the variant that we have from infrastructure is an issue. This is a burden for agility. If anytime we have to deploy a new release, we have to go through a certification process. This is taking out some of the agility promise that 5G and containerization has. But even with all these issues and all these problems, it is clear that containerization is a good move, and we will allow a higher level of automation and higher efficiency, solving some of the problems that we have with the virtual machine world with the OpenStack. A key factor for us is CDCT, that is the implementation of the software, the onboarding of the software in an automatic way, the testing of the software in an automatic way. The number of releases in 5G will increase dramatically, and we have to move fast and implementing the new releases in a fast way. So automatic testing and continuous delivery, it is something that is needed for 5G standalone, clearly. In Telefonica, we have implemented a project for having CDCT in all our main operation during 2022 for allowing a smooth implementation of 5G standalone. There are many opportunities, but also some challenges. Challenges with 5G. Challenges I mentioned already, the technology maturity I mentioned, the fact that we have to have a new infrastructure, and there's something that is both a challenge and an opportunity. That is the need, but also the opportunity of having a new operational model. I will touch it later. In the opportunity side, for sure, all the new services that we will be able to provide to our customer, and not only with 5G, but with all the other implementation that we have in front of us. Edge, slicing, and private network will allow us to bring many new services to our customer. Especially relevant, at least at the beginning, is private network. Why? Because we will be able to provide 5G services to our B2B customer, even if we have not the coverage, the complete coverage of the country. We can implement a private network in the customer premises and then starting implementing 5G services soon. I mentioned new operational model. With all the technical evolution of the new operational model, we are forced to change all our processes and all our tools because the complexity of the new core is increasing. But also we have many technology advantages for operating the network in a much more efficient way. We are moving to a data-driven and completely automated operation in a virtualized approach. So this is something that will allow us to do things in a different way. For this, we have to transform our tools, our OSS to a higher level of automation. We have to have new skills in our teams, and maybe with new organizational framework. And also with our partner, we have to have a new model of partnership relation to do everything going smoother and faster in a much more agile way. So as you see, we have clearly an opportunity of evolving our new operational model, but also the need, the push of 5G for doing so. In Telefonica, we have implemented a multi-year project for evolving our operational model, involving all the factors that I'm mentioning here. So to conclude, the core of the network will be conditioned by the 5G standalone evolution. And we saw that we'll have both challenges and opportunity with this evolution. In Telefonica, we are evolving the core not only for 5G, but also for all the other technology, and we are doing that in a progressive way. And for infrastructure, we are evolving to a much more efficient approach, but we have a certain amount of challenges that we have to solve before this is going to happen. So we will be implementing a mobile network that is completely new from core point of view, with a lot of possibilities of implementing new service to our customer. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have any question. Let me see. Yes, we have one question. How important do you see Open RAN to 5G rollout, and how do you see the Encompass challenges in relation to maintenance service and network security, for example? Well, in Telefonica, we are very vocal about Open RAN. We are pushing because we see that this is a great opportunity for evolving the radio. From a point of view that opening interfaces will allow us not only a new scenario of vendor, but also a higher level of automation and a better way of operating the network. The problem is that Open RAN has today a significant functional gap with conventional approaches. So we will be using Open RAN, and Open RAN will gain in importance progressively, and we'll, in the next year we will see Open RAN coming a reality and becoming an important factor of our network. There are things that we have to change, and mainly they are driven by the new operational model. In fact, disaggregation, not only in the radio but also in the transport or in the core, is one of the levers to change, but also one of the need for changing the operational model, and this has to be changed for sure. I don't know if we have any other question. Okay, thank you.